folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I'll tell you what, Democrats are in chaos. And when Democrats are in chaos, that means the deep state is in chaos. This shadow government that has now been exposed really over the last week or so since Elon came in and you had good conservatives digging into what's going on inside USAID. They're reeling, and they're making arguments that the American people are not going to embrace. And I'm left asking, have the Democrats not learned anything? Now, President Trump issues this executive order to not allow men in women's sports yesterday. The left was basically quiet on that. Have they learned their lesson that this is common sense? You don't want men with beards competing against our girls? Maybe. They're quiet on that. But now you expose sending millions of dollars to promote gay sex in South Africa, $20 million to Iraq to fund Sesame Street. You've got all kinds of other programs, feminist programs in Somalia, all of this stuff. And the Democrats are hell-bent on defending it. So I would say this, as Elon Musk and President Trump take a wrecking ball to waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington, they've got a lot of work ahead of them because government is rife with waste, fraud, and abuse. And so what we're seeing now is what the American people want. But the elected Democrats, are now engaging in a battle royale. And I think this looks like a kamikaze suicide mission. They're hell-bent on destroying Trump, and their anti-Trump agenda gets in the way of everything else. But in the end, the American people are most certainly turning on them. So this is what we're going to talk about today on the program. Before we do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at EnergizedHealth.com. You know, I feel like I'm in some of the best shape of my life, and I feel like this for a reason. I am on the Energized Health system. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. It's about intercellular hydration. There's a little bit of a workout plan, but not very hard. Anybody can do it. If you're in your 80s, you could do this workout plan, okay? And many people in their 80s go on the Energized Health system. Men, women, if you're wildly overweight, this system is for you. If you're like me who just wanted to tighten things up, I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks, this system is for you because it's about intercellular health. Doing away with visceral fat, building muscle mass, getting more energy and sharper brain function, all the while making yourself healthier. A mind, body, soul program. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. They got a 100% money back guarantee, 99.1% success rate, and it worked with me. All right, I promise you, I wouldn't be pitching it if it wasn't, and I tried it out myself. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. Give them a try today. All right, so I mean it when I tell you, Democrats are literally imploding over the exposure of President Trump finding ridiculous spending on $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan, $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala, $2.1 million to help the BBC value the diversity of the Libyan society. Do you think the American people want money going to these kinds of causes? No, yet the Democrats wig their shit out.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people.
But wait a second, for the American people, how is $6 million for tourism in Egypt for the American people? How is $2.5 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam for the American people? How is it $1.1 million to an Armenian LGBTQ group? It's not the American people. These are foreign entities pushing a globalist agenda. Even Democrat voters are not for this.
And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
Yeah, but Jamie Raskin, the American people, your voters, don't want you to stop him. So look at who's behind him, Ilhan Omar and all these other lunatic leftists, these radicals that embrace the globalist agenda. His voters do not want it stopped. I have proof for you. The New York Times did a poll. 75% of the 2,000 people the New York Times surveyed said that government operates to benefit itself and elites. 75%. Don't tell me they only surveyed Republicans because we don't have 75% of the country. 60% said they want to see the government pay less attention to problem overseas and more attention to problems here in America. And yet USAID is literally trying to take sovereignty away from America, push a globalist agenda, destroy the family value system that America was built on, and they're defending it?
Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that.
And I think the American people are realizing, whoa, hold on a second. We don't want Congress in charge of the purse strings. Now, you'd need constitutional amendment to change that. But the executive branch of the federal government has oversight over those funds, and he can direct his agencies in certain directions. What to spend on, what not to spend on. Yes, Congress controls the overall purse strings. But President Trump has great leeway to declare what the priorities are of his administration. And I think when the American people start realizing all of these pet projects, they don't want Congress involved in this. And I believe it's ultimately what President Trump said it was, a kickback scheme.
Look at all the fraud that he's found in this USAID. It's a disaster what the people, radical left lunatics, they have things that nobody would have even believed. The whole thing with $100 million spent on you know what, with money going to all sorts of groups that shouldn't deserve to get any money. With the money, I'd like to see what the kickbacks are. How much money has been kicked back? Who would spend that kind of money to some of the things that you read about and I read about and I see every night on the news and every morning when I read the papers? Who would spend money for that? I would say this, the people that got all that money, are they kicking it back to the people that gave it from government? No, that's, to me, very, very corrupt.
That's it, Mr. President. I think it is a giant kickback scheme, and it's why it needs to be exposed, and it's why the American people are looking at the Democrats who are defending this and saying, as you defend this reckless spending, you are exposing yourself as the deep state globalist that you actually are. Check out this Congresswoman.
If they can close down USAID, they can close down Social Security. And if they can let some billionaire who's not elected have access to your information, they can cut your checks off. So if you think this isn't important, you are very misled.
You're misled by you big dope. So nobody's saying cut off Social Security. President Trump has never said that. Now, they're freaking out because Elon Musk is going in to look at Medicare and Medicaid for waste, fraud, and abuse, which is, I'm going to tell you right now, ripe with waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay? So she makes up lies to try to stop the attack of the globalist slush fund paid for by the American taxpayer. She pushes lies that somehow if they do this, they're going to cut your Social Security checks off. One has nothing to do with the other, folks. I mean, seriously, do you think Social Security has anything to do with $2 million to promote LGBT equality through entrepreneurship in Latin America? $500,000 to solve sectarian violence in Israel. $2.3 million for an artisanal and small-scale gold mining in the Amazon. Can't the gold companies go mine gold in the Amazon? What does USAID have to be getting involved with that? Well, that Congresswoman who lied to the American people by saying, hey, they can steal your information, they're going to cut your Social Security off by literally trying to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, did a little interview for her social media and, again, exposes herself as a global elitist.
I'm leaving a rally of USAID and State Department workers who have been shut down by this administration.
Do you not notice that all these liberal women look the same? No makeup. They let their hair go gray. They wear baggy clothes, cheap sweaters, no care about taking care of themselves. If you can't take care of yourself, how in the world are you going to take care of this country? If you have no respect for your own body, for your own looks, how are you going to respect the money the taxpayers put into the federal government? You don't, which is why we're in the position we are in.
Musk has said we don't need any foreign policy in terms of diplomacy. We have other ways to make America great. Nothing could be further from the truth. We need these people on the front lines promoting democracy, helping with development, building our friendships around the world. They are critical to our national security.
How is it that you're spending millions of dollars on LGBTQ mania, sex changes in Guatemala, men having sex with other men in South Africa? How is that contributing to the well-being of Americans? It is not. It is wasteful. We are broke. Our nation is broke. We are in debt like we've never seen before. Our payments on interest now exceeds payments to pay off our Defense Department. We now pay more to interest than we do for defense. Every single time that has happened in every single society, the society has collapsed. We can't allow it to happen, which is why this work that Elon Musk and the Doge folks are doing is most certainly so important. But the left doubles down. They are in chaos. They are reeling. They don't know what to do. All they have is anti-Trump, must fight Trump. It is Trump derangement syndrome, and it is completely on display. So now they say they're going to block every legislative move that President Trump has. This is not what the American people want. And you know what? You're going to block legislative moves. What are you going to do? Block his cabinet members? Block the nominations? Have at it. He'll appoint acting secretaries. Now, I don't like the idea that they'll do it because they're putting us in a national security situation. President Trump will get around it. You're not going to stop this from happening. We're now 17, 18 days into this administration, and he's done more in those days than he did in his entire first year in office the last time around. This man is amazing at the speed he is operating in, and yet Democrats continue to double down on the dingbatness.
The line, your family's on the line, dedicating your lives to this work. Prevent conflict, spread democracy, and prevent our young men and women from having to go and fight more needless wars. So yes, the assault of Elon Musk and Donald Trump and his billionaires and the energy executives is not an accident. They want to gut these efforts to make money, to make profit, to spread instability around the world. We will not let it happen. You have some fighters here.
Spread instability around the world. Cutting money to create instability. What we're trying to do is save a nation. And you save a nation by keeping this nation in a fiscal, responsible situation. You get us back to the business of a balanced budget. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. This guy knows it. They're spewing nonsense here. It's all platitudes. Nothing makes sense because anyone with common sense will be like, hey, you know what? We got to rein this stuff in. Now, I want to give an apology, okay, to Cat B in Texas. And if you're in Texas, God love Texas. You know that's where I am. She writes on the Rumble channel, Grant, my hubby requested I let my hair go gray, focus elsewhere. I'm no liberal. Cat B, I'm very sorry about that. I would imagine you still take care of yourself. I do speak in stereotypical nature, but I do believe there is stereotypes for a reason because oftentimes they just happen to be true. And so my apologies to you. Let your hair go gray if that's what you want to do. Fine, let your hair go gray. But I would offer up just some advice here, okay? Don't go with this outfit. All right? I guess I can focus my attention elsewhere, but this outfit is not good, especially for a sitting United States Congresswoman, okay? And I don't know, maybe some eyeliner hurt. Like, that didn't hurt anybody along the way, did it? Maybe some eyeshadow, maybe a little lip gloss, just gloss, maybe. I don't know. Cat B, I'm sorry, though. I'm sure you are lovely, and I'm sure your husband's a great guy, and I'm sure he is if he wants you to do whatever makes you happy. And that's really what conservatism is about, right? Anyway, I'm sorry, Cat B. I had to get that out of the way. All right, so Don Jr. has been talking about this. Let me get to the Don Jr. clip. He had Brian Mast, the congressman, on. But before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at get21now.com. Up to 21% annualized interest on your investment paid out monthly. So what it amounts to is monthly cash flow. Okay? Every month at the end of the month, I get a direct deposit into my bank account for my investment. And yes, just like Energized Health, just like Patriot Mobile, just like Colonial Gold, get21now.com. I am a user. I'm an investor with get21now.com. I use all of the products, all of the services that I promote. I wouldn't tell them about you if I didn't believe in them 100%. So how much of an investment is right for you? Of course, you need to talk to them. I'm not here to give you investment advice. But I will tell you, if you like the idea of locking into 21% annualized interest, getting paid monthly on that contractual agreement, then you got to go to get21now.com. Okay? It's about Bitcoin mining. You just take away all the swings of Bitcoin and you lock into the benefits of what that crypto has to offer. Get21now.com. Talk to my buddy Corey there. He's great. He loves talking to Stinchfield's Army members, and he thinks like us. So it'll be a great conversation, and he can help you. Get21now.com. If you're curious, the name of the company is NFN8, and they do a great job. They have been for me, and they've lived up to all their promises. Get21now.com. That's get21now.com. Okay, so the reason I'm covering this USAID story is because I do think it's one of the biggest scandals to hit Washington. And what's a shame is I've gone back in my research and I noticed that my buddy Matt Gaetz had been exposing this USAID story along with Marjorie Taylor Greene 2-3 years ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene offered up a bill to do away with USAID. This is why I love her. Matt Gaetz, a speech on the floor exposing USAID. And I don't know, was I asleep at the wheel? I apologize. And another apology from Stinchfield. I should have been on this story much earlier than now, but I'm not going to give it up. I'm going to be like a dog with a bone on this one. So here's Don Jr. and Congressman Brian Mast on Don Jr.'s podcast.
Department, don't just get focused on USAID. There's other doors that need to be shut out there because they're doing, $39,000 to host seminars in Edinburgh International Book Festival on gender identity, and $48,000 to publish to help educate Polish youth on how to be LGBTQ, and $70,000 to create a U.S.-Irish music to promote DEI in Ireland, and just the list goes on and on and on. I could read these to you for hours, and that I could read to you for hours is the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much that we had to find that stuff. They wouldn't tell us about it.
Well, of course, China is really at the center of all of this conversation. Perhaps we haven't gotten there yet, but they've sort of been the acting force behind so much of this, whether it's fentanyl or otherwise. We've been doing investigations on the show on just how much they've infiltrated our supply chains and exporting products made with forced labor. My father has basically said, you better move manufacturing here, agree to oversight, or else you're going to face consequences. We also see these cheap Chinese retailers like Temu and Shan who like to exploit the loopholes in our trade laws and, en route, their goods. How do you view the China threat? And, beyond what we're doing right now, which is the short-term fix, what legislation can we implement to actually fix it permanently?
I see the China threat diminishing every single day because of the leadership in America. And let me tell you how I equate.
All right, so we don't need to get into the China threat right now. It is real. And this is why President Trump is pushing back, because he's protecting American citizens' lives. But the reality of all of this is that we've got to be cutting spending on our own home front, and we are. Now, I told you yesterday about this Politico story. The Politico story may be the greatest scandal to hit the Washington media and Washington elite for as long as I can remember. We had been saying that $8 million had gone to Politico in subscriptions. Well, now, thanks to our friends at Open the Books, say that the Politico story, $44.2 million was paid on subscriptions by the federal government since 2017. $44 million. That includes dozens of executive branch agencies, as well as offices in the House of Representatives. So here they go through by the numbers, and I'll just give you some of these by the numbers deal. So Politico getting paid subscription money by the federal government through USAID includes $32.3 million in spending from inside the White House, $11.9 million from staffers inside the House of Representatives. Despite the online buzz, says Open the Books, the auditors did not find any evidence of any federal grants given to Politico except for a $1,000 COVID relief payment. All the money, the $44 million, subscriptions. Have you not heard of the idea of giving someone your password? Have you not heard of the idea of buy one subscription for the office so you can get into it? And what subscription would cost you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to read Politico? This was a slush fund. You want to talk about kickbacks? We need to look at the ownership of Politico. Where was that money going? Does it ever get funneled back to politicians? What stories were Politico covering? Politico was on the forefront of claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian collusion and a hoax. They're being rooted out. They're being rooted out in a very, very big way. So Donald Trump's White House, this is interesting, spent just over $1 million on Politico in 2017. That number by 2020 had gone to $2.8 million. Clearly Donald Trump unaware of this. But as soon as Joe Biden gets in office, the payments increased drastically. The White House spent $4.4 million on Politico subscriptions in 2021, going to $8 million in 2023. So you see that $8 million number we were talking about was just last year. $44 million to Politico to push propaganda stories designed to hurt conservatives. It's amazing to me. 38 different federal agencies and sub-agencies have sent payments to Politico since 2017, including Health and Human Services, $6.9 million since 2017. What was Politico doing? Pushing the vaccine story of how great it was. Department of Energy, $3 million in the same time frame. The Agency for International Development, that's USAID, $44,000. So all of this, folks, is now being exposed. Maybe it's the Open the Books guys I got to have on the program tonight to talk about Politico. That might be the best way to do it. I'm going to text my producer right now and tell them let's get them on for this. All right, craziness to say the least. So again, all of them doubling down over and over and over again. And you wonder, when I read you all of that, you wonder why Ayanna Presley goes hog wild.
First of all, happy Black History Month, which is American history. There's a song back there that says Doge actually means dangerous oligarchs grab everything. Well, ain't that the truth? I am so tired of these billionaire boys and their grubby little hands grabbing at everything. Hands off our bodies, hands off our data, hands off our tax refunds, hands off our social security checks, hands off our constitution, hands off our democracy.
Oh. Please don't tell me to take the hands off the mouse to stop her from screaming and yelling. So I don't even think she's part of the establishment. I think she's an outsider. I don't even think she's getting the kickbacks. I think she's a blind liberal zombie that is programmed to just scream and yell against Donald Trump. Because again, folks, they're making this the hill to die on. I would not make this the hill to die on if you're a Democrat. You are going to lose this argument. And I know you're going to lose this argument. You get guys like Joe Rogan speaking out about this. Joe Rogan reaches a lot of people, including a lot of independents. And it's a bigger agenda to destroy America. And I know that sounds conspiracy theory-esque. And I know I'm not on the Alex Jones level of digging into the globalist agenda. But all of it is very real. Very real. And it's not a conspiracy. And this USAID is just the head of the snake. You've got the intelligence apparatus that is pulling the strings for many of these things, and it is all in an effort to subvert freedom and to destroy, and including destroy masculinity, not just in America, but across the globe, because they know if they destroy masculinity, they can take over the world. You just have to go back and look at what happened in ancient Greece, ancient Rome. You watch those societies become more and more wimpy. Remember the great Greek and Roman gods, and then they become a little more whimsical and a little more fairy-esque, and then you had these thin little betas, and of course society collapsed. Ultimately, that's what they want. As I read this list from the White House's Rapid Response 47, I mean, I'm going to keep this list on my desk. It's all about destroying men and pushing LGBT causes. 3.9 million for LGBT causes in the Balkans. 5.5 million LGBT activism in Uganda. 6 million advancing LGBTQ issues in priority countries around the world. You see what I'm saying? This is about the war on men and masculinity. And they know if they can remove men from society by having them all go through sex change surgeries, then in the end, they win. But they're losing right now. That's the reality. Folks, is that a conservative take? I mean, clearly it is. Conservatives would agree with it. But it should be a liberal take as well. I understand we're going to have differences of where we spend our money. All right? A liberal is going to say, I want more money going into programs that will allegedly help poor people do something that they believe will help poor people. And we might believe it's going to keep the boot of government on poor people. But at least they're well-intentioned, saying they believe that they think this money will help Americans. That's where I would think liberals and conservatives would disagree on how money gets spent. But I would hope that liberals would agree that when our country is broke, sending all of these billions of dollars overseas, not to fund famine programs, not to fund programs that would enable peace, but to push LGBTQ agendas, 20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. I would think that when you send money like that, even a liberal would agree that's a waste of money. But we live in a point in time now where that certainly is not the case. Here's Nancy Mace.
USAID awarded $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala. So to each of you this morning, does this advance the interests of American citizens paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million? Yes or no? Governor?
I have no position.
Of course you don't. Okay, USAID awarded over $750,000 to fund alleviating loneliness among migrant garment workers in India.
Loneliness amongst migrant garment workers in India? Loneliness. I mean, aren't there dogs in India? Get a pet, for crying out loud. You don't need to spend that kind of money overseas. What about loneliness in America? Don't spend money on that either, by the way.
Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
USAID awarded $1.5 million for providing a gender-sensitive response to migration at the Venezuelan border. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
What is the deal with having no position? You left this freaking lunatic. The answer is no, and it's clear. Any reasonable person will tell you that's not advancing American interests. It may be advancing Venezuelan interests, but not Americans.
Does this advance the interests? Okay, so USAID awarded $4.3 million on October 1st, 2023 to a group to fund comprehensive health services for men having sex with other men in South Africa. Does this advance the interests of American citizens, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
I bet you don't. Okay. USAID awarded $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities by promoting economic empowerment and opportunity for LGBTQI plus people in Serbia. Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No. Nope.
You have no idea, right? Okay.
What a joke. What a joke. This is what I'm talking about when you talk about bureaucrats in Washington. The bureaucracy that embrace the nonsense. They have no business managing our money. They can't manage their own checkbook, much less manage the checkbook of the United States of America. One of you in the Rumble chat talked about Maxine Waters. Yes, Grant. Here's Rebecca Jordan. Yes, Grant, I'm lonely. Can I have my S back to buy a dog? My money back to buy a dog? Unfortunately, probably not, but I wish you could. I really do. I love my petty little Social Security monthly payment. I paid for it. USAID, we paid for it. No more USAIDs, USAID, as they write. That's from Joe Polka. All of this, one of you asked for Maxine Waters. I lost where it was, but because I take requests on the program.
Hello, everybody. We have convened here in the right place, the Treasury Department. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. Nobody told you you could get all of our private information. Nobody told you you could be in charge of the payments of this country. We have told you you've made enough money off our government yourself. And now you want to take everybody else's payroll and make sure that they don't make the kind of money that you've made. Oh, you want to use our money to go to Mars? No, we want to use our money right here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, in Washington, D.C. to send to Somalia, to send to Iraq, to send to South America so men can have sex with men. Thank you for exposing that, Nancy Mace. That's Fancy Nancy Maxine Waters. I call her Fancy Nancy. It's Fancy Nancy Pelosi. But that's Fancy Maxine Waters, who lives in a $4.5 million house. Is from Inglewood, which is, not the greatest area in Los Angeles. I do radio in L.A. I know L.A. She's got a $4.5 million house and a $5.3 million net worth. Those numbers don't even add up. $5.3 million is a big net worth, but you can't afford a $4.5 million house. How's she doing it? Where's the money coming from? See, Maxine Waters has been there a long time. Maxine Waters is on the inside. This is one who probably has daily phone calls with John Brennan, the former director of the CIA, who I believe is in charge of most of this craziness. So Maxine Waters may be a beneficiary of this. That's why she's claiming all this stuff and saying that we want the money spent here. Yes, that is what we want. We want the money spent here. And sadly, that, folks, is not happening. So what happened? Joni Ernst is a Republican senator. She's not my favorite by any means. She's very much a rhino, and I am very critical of many times. But to her credit, she went to find out where some of this USAID money was going to, and I will tell you that story in just a moment. Before that, let me tell you about my friends at Patriot Mobile. I told you, I use everybody that I promote on this podcast. I have a Patriot Mobile phone service provided by Patriot Mobile. I have 2 lines. 2 networks, 2 lines on one phone. It's called a Patriot One plan, and it's great, especially for business. I can have a separate line coming in. I can decide what line I want to call out on, take the call from either line. It's great. Here's what I really love about Patriot Mobile. I love the leadership because they are standing in the gap for us. They constantly are out there pushing the message of freedom and conservatism and anti-tyranny. But even more than that, they're Christians. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I always tell them add Judeo-Christian so we don't cut our Jewish friends out of this. But I think they would agree they're America's only Judeo-Christian wireless provider. So I would like you to change your service. I'm just going to ask you. If you can do that today, I think it would be a big help to move our country in the right direction by not funding the woke agenda that the big 3 cell phone companies are engaged in funding. Start with the little things. The big things take care of themselves. Switch your cell phone service. Do it today. Go to patriotmobile.com/grant. You choose the network you want to be on. So you're not going to lose any type of service, and you're going to gain customer service because they're 100% U.S. customer based. Okay? 972-PATRIOT is the number. 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code GRANT for a free first month service. They'll make you a deal to switch too, so don't worry about that. patriotmobile.com/grant. 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code GRANT, and tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. I told you Joni Ernst goes to uncover USAID, and it doesn't go well. This is what happened to Joni Ernst when she wanted answers.
What my team and I encountered was absolute obstruction and lies coming out of USAID. They did everything possible to stop me from accessing their records to understand where our taxpayer money was going. I eventually partnered with Representative Mike McCall in the House, and we started a formal congressional investigation. And even after that, they really pushed back, only allowed us access to a small amount of data. But what we found was extreme expenditures on the part of USAID with very little data-driven results. We have seen money funded in the Wuhan Institute of Virology through dollars steered by USAID on dangerous coronaviruses. We saw how that turned out. We've seen funding going to Morocco for pottery classes, tourism in Lebanon, of all places, even when the State Department was advising against travel. I could go on and on and on.
And they blocked her. She's a sitting United States senator. You can't be blocking a sitting United States senator. But they did. So, you know, it's funny. In the beginning of this podcast, you're just tweeting now, I made a comment about liberals with gray hair. Now, there's Joni Ernst. But I will tell you, let's just look at this and freeze it real quick, okay? Joni Ernst looks well put together. Yes, she's got some gray hair. I think she's got some highlights in there. But her sweater is well put together. She's got a little makeup on. She looks good. And the reason why I bring this back up, because in the Facebook chat, Debbie McGee says some gray hair, some hair for that matter, will not take in and hold color. I don't know why my comments about gray hair really had an effect. Even one of our viewers in Texas, too. Now, I want you to compare that look, okay? Fine. I don't mind the gray hair there. Makeup looks good. Like I said, a little eyeliner, some eyeshadow, some lipstick.
Doing a rally of you.
Now, you tell me, hair not brushed, grumpy, frumpy sweater, no makeup, not well put together. I'm just telling you, if you want respect, you've got to put yourself together, all right? Now, you may say, Grant, you're wearing a freaking T-shirt on the podcast. Well, I am wearing a T-shirt, but I would like to think I'm in decent shape. It's a nice T-shirt representing our United States military, a great charity. I've got my hair, what little I have left, brushed. I don't know. I try to present myself in a proper manner. So anyway, I thought I'd make the comparison there. This is a whistleblower for USAID. He was on with Jesse Waters, and this guy was forced to do some interesting things at USAID.
You started at USAID, and what they do the first thing, did they send you to DEI camp?
Yes, and great to be with you, Jesse. So I didn't get into the agency till February 2018, and this is one of the big differences that we're already seeing that in 2017. Trump administration was very slow to get into the agency. So I get there in February, and we have what's called a privilege walk as part of the orientation, where you are given an identity. Now, I was a Scandinavian woman, and so when they read lines like, I get discriminated against because of government services, or people don't look how I look. So you took a step forward if it applied and if it didn't. And so I ended up near the front, and the indigenous woman with, unwanted pregnancy and the male prostitute were at the other end. And then we talked about our privileges.
All right. So you were trained to be a Scandinavian woman in a privilege walk, not root out corruption. What kind of disguises do they use to fund these projects? I mean, do they just change the names of these things? Is there really some other reason we're doing this?
Yeah, they're very effective at rebranding things. So in the first Trump administration, the priorities were support national interests, as they are now. Another thing was countering terrorism and promoting self-reliance. So I went to a country, just to give one example, they had a feminist women's book club that had been started under the Obama administration. And then they now said this is a counter-terror program because women, feminist women are key fighters in the battle against terrorism.
You see how they come up with a reason to push money to these things? It's a counterterror organization. He's dressing. This is craziness. That interview was eye-opening. I can't help but laugh, though. You guys are funny in the chat. So apparently I touched a nerve with the gray hair and the looks. So Country Girl 50 writes, "Who cares what she looks like?" Now, I'm going to give you a little insight into how I operate, okay? What I'm trying to do here is not just entertain you and inform you in the process and give you some ammunition to go take to the streets. I'm also doing my best to ensure that the message we push here goes far and wide. So if I can trigger those on the left, they will often quote this podcast in many of the left-wing media outlets. They will quote me as, "Look at Stinchfield. He made fun of her gray hair and her frumpy outfit," and literally end up playing a little bit, or they'll push people to watch my podcast, and I succeeded. So that's one reason why I talk about her looks, because I tricked the left into then pushing my content. The other reason I talk about it is I do feel strongly about you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of anything else. If you can't take care of yourself first, how are you going to take care of anything else? And so, yes, it does get into health and mind, body, soul, and being healthy in all of those levels. But Rebecca Jordan writes, "Grant, can you assure we viewers have pants on?" So I don't know what kind of podcast she wants this program to turn into, but I can give you a little secret insight into this. Including when I was at Newsmax, broadcasting from this very studio where I am now, including on the Real America's Voice show, I could often be wearing gym shorts, my slippers. I wear the Mike Lindell slippers all the time during my show. And I rarely ever wear underwear because I do have to, well, I wear underwear under my pants, but I never go that was just boxers because you have to get up. So I always have some form of pants or shorts on. And so today I was expecting it was going to be a little cold, so I will show you. I have fleece pants on. There you go. That's what I'm wearing. So Rebecca Jordan, if you wanted proof, I just gave it to you, and I appreciate you guys all commenting in the chat room. It makes my day when we get a dialogue going there, even if it's funny stuff. There you go, Rebecca. Heartland writes, "I agree. Vanity is one thing, but taking pride in yourself is something we all should do." 100%. And don't get me wrong, there are times I can look a little messy, but I try when I present myself here to at least in a professional manner. And I wonder sometimes these Democrats, they do not present themselves in a family manner at all. Yes, back to the family program. And look, I think I only cursed once on this program. I try not to curse too on this program, but the Democrats make this very, very hard not to curse. I want to play, or I want to talk at least about the immigration situation briefly before we go, because these ICE raids continue, the roundups of illegals continue, and the Democrat lies continue, and now they're going after Kristi Noem, okay? And it's wrong what they are doing to Kristi Noem. Before I get there, though, folks, let me tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. This is my favorite kit because I think every household should have it. The most important prescription medications that you can have on hand. God forbid you have a natural disaster, a terrorist attack. Drugstores closed down. You got prescription medications in here, including ivermectin. Okay, still sometimes hard to get in some parts of the country. All prescribed directly to you. You'll have it on hand, which means, quite frankly, if your kid, a loved one, needs something out of this kit, you have it. And there's a guidebook in here to guide in the safe use of that. There's also this. This is the new field kit. It's a little more expensive, but it is worth having. More prescription medications in here, including an EpiPen in here. There's steroids in here. I think there's an inhaler in here as well. So you got everything you need to keep you and your family safe. And this is what I want you to do. Go to twc.health/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. And this is about keeping yourself and your family prepared and safe. So twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. Okay. So the ICE raids continue to occur. You know, I don't really know what to call them. I don't like calling them raids because that's not what it is. It's a targeted enforcement. They have a list of the most violent offenders that are wanted by the federal government, either to go back into prison or they serve their time in prison. They need to be deported. So they're going down the list. So it's not really a raid. It's not like they're going into a workplace. Though I will say this, I am all for a workplace raid. If there's an employer that is knowingly employing dozens of illegal aliens, you are adding to the incentive for illegals to come here because they know they'll get a job with you. You are breaking the law. The employers need to be targeted and the illegals there needed to be targeted. That's an absolute fact, okay? Do I want ICE agents going into schools? No. I don't ever think an ICE agent would even go into a school. Unless there's a violent gang member, a violent alien who's in an English class, I don't even want the ICE agents going in then because I don't want anybody around this guy to be put in danger as they take him into custody. Stake out the classroom, put an undercover in the class, follow the guy, take him down when he's walking to his car after school is over, or call him to the principal's office and then take him down in the principal's office. But I don't want them going into schools and checking the ID of kids because in the end, I believe actually most of these young people that came here at an early age are victims of a crime. Their parents brought them here at no fault of their own. When you're 4, 5, 6 years old, you don't have a choice. I believe you're a crime victim. The 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds who come here on their own, that's a different story, okay? Many of them are gang members. They're here coming to do trouble. This is a little teaser of what's been going down on Fox News.
Seen a lot of combined agency efforts in some of these confrontations, and we are watching this play out right now. This is DEA helping DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, serving search warrants at multiple locations in Denver, Colorado. Also, we saw some video from the early hours when it was still dark out of similar operations going on in Denver, similar to what we've seen across the country. We'll keep a close eye on it, and we will continue to report on these developments. But a lot of action with these agencies across the country, and this focused in Denver.
So that is that apartment complex in Aurora that they went in with flashbangs, and they are taking it back. Now, I want you to listen to the lies. I told you there are a lot of lies going on. Debbie Wasserman Schultz literally lies to the American people, and I think that this anchor person on MSNBC should have called her out on the lie, and he didn't.
Jose, the fact that the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, Donald Trump's Homeland Security Secretary, called Venezuelans here in this country who are here because they fled Maduro's oppressive and brutal regime dirtbags, I mean, the insult is breathtaking.
Did she call Venezuelans here dirtbags, or did she call Tren de Aragua gang members dirtbags? Well, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, I can tell you for an absolute fact, the only dirtbag she was talking about was criminals who are here illegally, and that means the gang members. She was specifically referencing TDA gang members, okay? And if you don't believe me, listen.
Well, before he left town, Mayorkas signed an order that said for 18 months they were going to extend this protection to people that are on temporary protected status, which meant they were going to be able to stay here and violate our laws for another 18 months. And we stopped that. Today, we signed an executive order within the Department of Homeland Security in a direction that we were not going to follow through on what he did to tie our hands, that we are going to follow the process, evaluate all of these individuals that are in our country, including the Venezuelans that are here and members of TDA. Listen, I was in New York City yesterday, and the people of this country want these dirtbags out. They want their communities to be safe. It was so amazing to me to see people walk by us on the street early in the morning and just say, thank you. Thank you for being here. So this is part of our plan to make sure that we're protecting America, keeping it safe again, just like President Trump promised.
There's some Democratic leaders that are pushing back against these ICE raids.
Dirtbags. Okay? Here, like this.
Here in New York City this morning, we are getting the dirt bags off these streets.
Getting the dirt bags off the street.
Here in New York City this morning, we are getting the dirt bags off these streets.
Yeah. Going after people that need to be arrested. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz doesn't tell you that, does she? No. She wants you to think that she's calling dirtbags all illegal aliens. Now, not all illegal aliens are dirtbags. All illegal aliens are criminals. That's a harsh reality the Democrats don't want to face. Everyone here illegally is a criminal. And they're a criminal because they crossed the border illegally. That makes them a criminal. Are they well-intentioned? Many of them are. Are they evil? Many of them are not. Are they dangerous? Many of them are not. But here's the reality. Many of them are. And so we've got to stop it because Americans are dying at the hands of these illegal aliens, drug dealers pushing fentanyl in. And this is why today I'm happy to announce we now are seeing that the Mexican National Guard is patrolling the border between, I believe, El Paso and Juarez on the Texas border. You've got hundreds of Mexican soldiers out there, trucks going up and down, going through the bushes, rooting out illegal aliens trying to cross into America. That's the cooperation we needed, and it only comes because Donald Trump is now in the White House, and Donald Trump demands it. You know why he's in the White House? Because of you, folks. And it's been a great, I'm telling you, a great, I don't know, what is it, 17 days now? Something like that. I'm so happy that you guys are here with me. That was a fun show today. Tough subject, but a fun show for sure. And I appreciate all your comments. And I'll try to do more of that, take comments as we do this program. Remember, we've got the Real America's Voice show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll get into some more of this. And I've got an interesting story out of Alabama. A stand your ground law. This one was brought to me. Remember Daniel Penny, the subway hero in New York who they tried to charge and railroad? Well, his attorney brought me this story. He's going to be on tonight. He's defending a man in Alabama who was literally standing his ground, is now getting, in Atlanta, Georgia. I said Alabama. In Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to talk to him. And this is a good story, to say the least. That, folks, is going to do it for us. Stinchfield's Army Rolls. Thanks to all of you. Hey, if you don't have the Rumble app, by the way, you should download it. Download the Rumble app. You'll get notifications, and you can watch there on your phone, wherever, and the app works really, really well. So try that out. If you're watching anywhere else, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. That is always helpful. And then even more, if you really feel inclined, copy-paste the link to this podcast and then put a Truth Social out or X tweet out, whatever you call it. What do you call it now on X anyway? When you issue a post on X, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, if you spread it like that, we spread the word, and that's the most important thing. We have President Trump's back. We really do. All right, folks. God bless all of you. Stinchfield's Army Rolls. We'll see you tonight on the Real America's Voice show. Take it easy.